today, they must know that the bloodshed is their own fault. The president did dissolve his relatively powerless cabinet this week, a tactic other dictators have used too, but it appeared Syrians weren't buying it. Assad's car was swarmed after the speech, and in the city of Latakia, residents replied by taking to the streets, where witnesses said security forces opened fire. These pictures from Latakia are unverified. In Washington, the administration dismissed Assad's speech.
We condemn the violence that has occurred there.
At the same time, the White House has ruled out military intervention and even clings to hopes for Assad.
Many of the members of Congress of both parties who have gone to Syria in recent months have said they believe he's a reformer.
But this supposed reformer has reformed nothing since taking over from his late father 11 years ago. He has called protesters in other Arab countries pollution and microbes, and he's warned that Syria is not Egypt or Tunisia. His message today was pretty clear too. Nothing will change, and the regime has the power to make sure of that. Neil McDonald, CBC News, Washington.
The crisis in Ivory Coast is deepening. Forces trying to dislodge President Laurent Gbagbo have taken the capital. He's refused to leave office since losing an election last fall. Today, the UN Security Council voted unanimously to impose sanctions on Gbagbo. Ivory Coast is teetering towards civil war. Foreigners are fleeing the country as quickly as possible. More anger today in Greece over the government's austerity measures. About 2,000 doctors, lawyers, and teachers walked off the job to protest against funding cuts. The country was saved from bankruptcy last year by a bailout package from the European Union. The biggest sports story in the world today can be summed up in 3 words: India, Pakistan, cricket. The longtime rivals met in a World Cup semi-final, and at this particular match, there was a great deal more at play. Aaron Saltzman explains.
The party started in Canada well before dawn, wide awake and lined up to watch what some are calling the most important cricket match ever. It's a match needed in Pakistan and India playing a World Cup semi-final in India. For fans here, this is the Stanley Cup Final, the World Series, and the Super Bowl all rolled into one. Just ask the Bagai family up at 4:30 a.m. so they wouldn't miss the opening coin toss.
It's a religion for Indians as well as for Pakistanis as a club. Cricket and cricketers are gods, and cricket is religion.
Businesses across the subcontinent were closed as millions took off work. Even prison officials allowed inmates to watch the match, perhaps fearing the consequences if they didn't. In Pakistan, school children said special prayers for a victory. It would have taken a higher power just to get into the stadium. The few tickets available were fetching more than 100 times the original price. One man was willing to trade a kidney for a ticket, because this was so much more than just a game. It's India versus Pakistan. 3 wars, countless cross-border disputes, years of animosity, and this was also Pakistan's first match in India since the attacks in Mumbai that killed 166 people. India blamed Pakistani-based militants. It's taken months to begin rebuilding ties. Today, there was India's Prime Minister together with his Pakistani counterpart, greeting the players on the field.
They are using cricket as a diplomatic tool, so that hopefully this would help them patch up their differences.
The match itself was close, but in the end, the powerful Indian team proved too much for underdog Pakistan. Although many would argue there really was no loser today. Aaron Saltzman, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, he may be a well-known fan of hockey, but even Stephen Harper got into the cricket spirit today. At a campaign stop at a home in Brampton, Ontario, the Conservative leader showed off his bat form. And is this a clue about where his party stands on the vote compass? He swings the bat both right and left. Off the field, the leaders and their parties don't always play nice, and this campaign has had its nasty moments. But how's that strategy playing with you? Wendy Mesley has her eye on that. Plus,
I'm Sasha Petrusek on my way to Hazelton, British Columbia. It's one of the poorest corners of this province. The question is, are these people any better off than they were when the last federal election was held? What's changed? That story later on The National.
and let's check today's business numbers. The TSX finished up over 150 points. The dollar closed near 103 cents US. The Dow was up more than 70 points, and the price of oil dropped 52 cents.
The Market Report is brought to you by Standard Life. We craft investment products.
With the big day approaching, CBC celebrates with 2 documentaries, starting with Marketing the Monarchy.
Might be a buck to be made here.
Followed by Chasing the Royals. She will be the future Queen of England. It all begins.
So basically, we want to get back to the center. The information that we have to offer is also we have a directory of solar centers or companies that offer products and services, and so we would like to share that with you. So in our future transmissions, as we go along and get along, we're going to be listing some of the companies that we find, and even talking about some of the products that we find that might be best for your home. If you have a solar home and you're a homemaker, and you're one of those modern campers that just love the idea of living in a solar city, and calling into a center where you can get some information and support for your renovations. So once again, you can call in and you can speak with any one of us. And as you know, we have partners in the communities. We get in the community because we're out there every day. This number is 647-345-1415, and you can also once again leave us a message where we will respond to your calls as relevant at 416-604-6845. And just keep up with us, and we'd love to meet with you and greet with you also, even some for a coffee or refreshment, breakfast, lunch, and even dinner. So
first time we've ever had a food critic.
Be our guest.
This prime rib grandma burger is attracting a highfalutin kind of crowd. The flavor of the caramelized onions really complements the prime rib patty. Quite nicely, I think you'll formidable. That's good, right? Formidably.
The new prime rib grandma burger, only $3.99 at A&W. Fly with Porter, and everything just seems closer. It starts with our city center airport, just a hop, skip, and jump away from downtown Toronto. Our Toronto City Airport is compact and modern, so there's no jostling as you breeze through check-in. And a comfortable chair is never far away. In fact, you could say the journey is close to perfect. Wherever you're going, just got closer.
Power and Politics with Evan Solomon.
We'll ignite discussion and debate about the people and the issues that affect your life.
Weekdays at 5 Eastern on CBC News Network.
Many Canadians are struggling with this election, trying to find some reason to care. Well, those are the very people the major parties are targeting with some new television ads. Wendy Mesley has been looking at the ad campaigns and why they've gone nasty quickly. Wendy.
Yeah, well, Peter, Canadians usually say that they don't like attack ads, but the parties say that they work to a point. It used to be that when ads got too nasty, there would be an outcry, and often the ads would then get pulled. But not this election so far. I talked to some senior strategists about the backroom debates about when to attack and when to hold their fire.
Abuse, deceit, contempt for Canadians.
That's how the Liberals began their ad campaign. In case the message wasn't clear, this week they added an update to their list of alleged Harper misdeeds.
Top advisor under investigation for allegedly using his connections to win millions of dollars in government contracts for his girlfriend.
Some Liberal strategists argue they had no choice but to run attack ads after the months of pre-election ridicule from the Tories.
Natiev, he didn't come back for you. Stephen Harper is spending millions attacking me.
But other Liberals argue they just need to get their man better known, so they run ads like this, too.
My mother died of Alzheimer's disease. Caring for her was the toughest thing that ever hit our family.
Steady, determined hand. He's worked hard for families.
The Tories are doing the soft sell of their leader, too, while keeping up the attacks on Michael Ignatieff.
For an opportunist who only came back to be Prime Minister.
Mr. Harper's not exactly seen as warm and cuddly. Is there a danger that he could go too far and be seen as mean?
Absolutely. Listen, every time you make one of these ads, it's a little bit taking that chemistry set and doing the experiments in your garage. And you've got to be very careful because this advertising can go terribly wrong quite easily. And there's no clear rule book on where that line is drawn. What's effective, what's persuasive, and yet what will get you into trouble.
Canada marks 5 years of Stephen Harper ignoring healthcare. How? Well, an overcrowded hospital has to use a donut shop as an emergency ward.
The NDP waited till day 4 to really get in the TV game, cashing in on that overcrowded emergency room story.
We've got to improve our frontline health services. It's sending up a core message the Conservatives have used in the last campaigns, which is that they're the Tim Horton Party. The Tim Horton Party, and that's where they moved our health care, is at the Tim Hortons.
An attack ad, but not personal attacks, which Brian Topp argues work for the Tories, but not for the Liberals.
I suggest